All right, so I want to tell you something shady that happened in the Jenny Ellison protective orders, okay? So this fella got a protective order against Jenny. Not the individual, but a fella, okay? And so here's what happened. His protective order was out of revenge. See, I'd filed a protective order against the fella and the individual because I thought Jenny Ellison was in danger. So we went to a court hearing about it. Oh, I digress. Oh, scratch that. Okay, so Jenny Ellison was served the protective order from the fella, okay? And she was served a protective order that said stalking on it. Now, stalking is, yeah, it could be looking up stuff online, but it's, you know, when you're outside someone's house, you're following them, there's lots of things that are stalking. But when it was entered into the court, the clerk entered it as unlawful harassment. It's a very different box you check. It's different laws that apply. It's a different cause of action. Okay? So why would they do that? Well, I alleged to help Libby Winstrom, because unlawful harassment means they can remove content. They can keep people from posting things online that you don't like. They can use it to stifle your constitutional rights, your First Amendment rights. There's a lot more under unlawful harassment that the abusers can use and politics can use to silence you online, remove content, stop you from going places. There's just a lot more to it. So, and you have no way of knowing it. So if someone serves you, you look at it and you're like, oh, okay. Then you go to court. You don't know that it's entered different on the docket. I just know because I got the public records of it. So you as a regular individual, you have no way to know that you were served a document with one cause of action in a protective order, but that the clerk deliberately, maliciously changed it into something else. Well, I complained to the clerks, and I didn't hear back from them right away. And I immediately filed a document in the protective order case because I had electronic access because I'd filed the original case. So I let the courts know there's fraud on the court, that there's a clerk that's changed the cause of action. There's a serious issue here. I showed them the one that was served. I showed them how it was entered into the court, and that there was fraud on the court or that there was an error and that it needed to be addressed. Well, they ignored it. They ignored every single motion I filed. But when Libby Winstrom's thugs filed a motion, they addressed it, had a hearing right away. Didn't even notify me and had hearings without me. Yeah, Jefferson County Court's rotten to the core. Anywho, so then the court clerk, I think it was Sophie Nordstrom or whatever, got back to me like a couple weeks later and said, oh, no, that was the same cause of action and there's nothing different and everything was fine and good. Everything wasn't fine and good. It's a different law. When you get a protective order, there's like 4 boxes to check. They're a different law. The stalking was a different box to check and a different Washington state law code than the unlawful harassment. I allege and still allege that a court clerk changed it to help Libby Winstrom. And I also allege that they helped Libby throughout her divorce. I've seen different records. I've ordered records to prove that there's a clerk in the courthouse that's been helping Libby Winstrom. More on that later. But I just want you to know to pay attention. Go ahead and pay the money to get the public record. You might be like, oh, I already got a copy of it. Well, maybe you don't. So if you get served a lawsuit, if you get served a protective order, whatever the cause of action is, get the one that was filed in the court. Because this fella filed one, wrote it all out by hand, some of it was hand, some of it was typed, said right on it, and he filed it at a certain time. The timestamp was different too. I filed on the court docket a notice that this is important, this is an issue, this is fraud on the court. Different filing time by a few minutes, and it was a different cause of action. And the courts completely ignored it. And then the court clerk said, oh, there's nothing wrong. And so what happened next will be in the next video, because this video is about check your documents that were filed. You may not have been served the document that the court clerk entered on behalf of their friends, I allege. Bye for now.